In 1804, Haiti became the first independent nation in Latin America, forged by the blood of enslaved people rising against their colonial masters. But the fight for freedom didn't end. Their haughtiest sovereignty came at a cost that would haunt it for decades. Ever wonder why Haiti, the first independent Black republic, is one of the poorest countries today? The story starts in 1804, a triumphant year when they threw off the chains of French colonial rule. But freedom came at a staggering price. In 1825, France returned, not with soldiers to reconquer, but with warships and a demand. Pay us for our lost property, which included the formerly enslaved people themselves. To avoid a devastating war and gain international recognition, Haiti agreed to pay an astronomical sum, what would be over $21 billion in today's money. This independence debt crippled the nation's economy for over a century. Imagine a country starting its journey not with investment in schools or hospitals, but with a massive bill to its former oppressor. This historical burden is a crucial, often overlooked, piece of Haiti's story. Let's talk more about this in the comments. Thanks for watching. Did you know that for over a century, Haiti was forced to pay its former colonizer France just for the right to be free? This wasn't some small fee. It was a crippling debt imposed in 1825, valued at 150 million francs. To put that in perspective, it was 10 times Haiti's annual revenue at the time. This independence debt forced Haiti into a cycle of borrowing, mainly from French banks, at outrageous interest rates. Imagine starting a new life, but you owe an impossible amount of money to the very people who held you captive. That's what happened to Haiti. This debt drained the nation's treasury for 122 years, finally being paid off in 1947. It starved the country of funds for schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, setting the stage for centuries of poverty and political instability. The effects of this economic strangulation are still felt today. Thanks for watching. When we talk about Latin America's fight for independence, we often think of heroic battles and celebrated liberators. But what happened after the flags were raised and the declarations were signed? The story doesn't end there. In fact, a new, more subtle battle began, one fought not on the battlefield, but in the world of international finance. You've probably heard about Haiti's infamous debt to France, a crushing burden that lasted for over a century and crippled its development. But Haiti wasn't alone. This pattern of economic pressure was a tactic used by former colonial empires across the newly independent Latin America. It was a way to maintain control and continue extracting wealth, even without direct political rule. Let's zoom in on a few examples. Take Gran Colombia, the ambitious republic founded by Simon Bolivar, which included modern-day Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Panama. To fund their long and bloody war for independence against Spain, they had to take on massive loans from British bankers. When Gran Colombia eventually dissolved in 1831, these debts didn't just disappear. Instead, they were divided among the new, smaller nations. This created a huge financial strain right from the start. Imagine starting a new business, but you're already millions in debt from day one. That was the reality for these young countries. Venezuela, for instance, spent a significant portion of its national budget just servicing this inherited debt. This meant less money for schools, hospitals, roads, and building a stable government. It was a vicious cycle. To pay off old loans, they often had to take out new, even more expensive ones. This constant pressure made them vulnerable to foreign influence. Then there's Mexico. After its independence from Spain in 1821, Mexico was left in a state of economic chaos. The Long War had destroyed its silver mining industry, which was the backbone of its economy. European powers, particularly Britain and France, saw an opportunity. They offered loans, but with strings attached. These financial entanglements often led to political meddling. Perhaps the most dramatic example was the Pastry War of 1838. a French pastry chef in Mexico City, claimed that Mexican officers had damaged his shop. This seemingly minor incident was used by France as a pretext to demand an outrageous sum of 600,000 pesos. In compensation, when Mexico refused, France sent its navy to blockade a key port, crippling Mexico's trade. It was a clear demonstration of gunboat diplomacy. Pay up, or we'll shut down your economy. Ultimately, Mexico was forced to pay, highlighting how financial disputes could quickly escalate into military threats. This wasn't just about collecting money, it was about power. By keeping these new nations financially dependent, European empires could influence their trade policies, gain access to their natural resources, and ensured that Latin America remained a source of raw materials for European industries. Rather than becoming a competitor, they wanted to keep the old colonial economic structure in place, just without the administrative costs of running a colony. This legacy of debt and economic intervention had long-lasting consequences. It hindered industrialization, fueled political instability, and created a pattern of dependency that has shaped the region's economic landscape for generations. The struggles of these nations in the 19th century were not just about building a country from scratch. They were about fighting for true economic sovereignty against powerful global forces that wanted to keep them in their place. Understanding this history is crucial because it helps us see the deep roots of many of the economic challenges Latin America faces today. It's a reminder that independence is more than just a political declaration. It's an ongoing struggle for economic self-determination. Thanks for watching. If you found this dive into history interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories that you might not have learned in school. See you next time.